Hi, hello, welcome. You are joining Notes on a Napkin Tarot, and my name is Alice, and I'm still kind of getting my feet under me a little bit with this. I have a little bit of a different approach, I think, than most readers, and a little bit of that comes from my history. I was taught to read tarot using just regular playing cards when I was young, and found that I retained that information over time, and now I've developed a little bit more of a collection of different decks that I like, and I'm trying to see if I can share this talent and read for others. I don't do in-person readings right now. I don't do personal readings, but I'm just sort of trying to see if there's an audience out there for what I do, and if there's anything here that resonates with you, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment for me. Let me know what resonated with you and how. All of that is really important for me as I kind of figure all of this out and figure out if this is something that I'm going to keep doing. So my approach when I do a reading is I notice synchronicities, which I typically do a lot just in general in the world, whether it's symbols or numbers. And I've developed this particular tarot channel so far, at least around numbers, although for this particular reading I also could have chosen symbols because there have been a lot of them recently. There is an eclipse tomorrow in the part of the world where I'm in. At least we see close to full eclipse, which is pretty exciting, and I think the energies just in the universe because of that eclipse are particularly strong, and so these messages have come frequently and strongly recently for me. I apologize a little bit ahead of time. I'm losing my voice. I may pause and just take a sip of water here and there. But hopefully you can hear me and understand me okay. So when I have a moment of synchronicity, I try to just pause, and I call it Notes on a Napkin because I literally write notes on a napkin. I grab something that's close by and just meditate on what were the thoughts I was having at the time of that synchronicity, and why might those be significant. And then I will typically get set up here and I'll pull a few cards to sort of check in with that energy, just make sure that the universe is here with more to say. And so today normally I'll write the notes down, and then when I have a minute I'll kind of come back to the notes and revisit them and meditate a little bit to get into that space, and then pull the cards and see if the energies are aligning for me. And sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. So it's actually been a little while since I've recorded my last video that I posted. Today, however, everything happened right in the moment. So this was from not all that long ago. This was from about 10 minutes ago. So this was a 2/22. It is in fact the day before a partial eclipse of the sun. And I have been noticing a lot of synchronicities lately. I've noticed different symbols that relate to ideas of continuity, strength, vulnerability, rising up from things, taking flight, taking off, acceleration. And in that moment, and I apologize right now because I'm going to have to pause this video. I hear somebody at my door. Okay, sorry about that pause. So I've been seeing a lot of symbols and also just a lot of synchronicities lately. I feel like every time I look at the clock, there's a significant angel number there. And so in this particular moment of synchronicity, again, just very recently, and I would say this has been true in general in life lately, I've been thinking about these things. So a little bit more of a focus on self, I think, than usual. That's not normal or even easy. A sense of peace with the notion that things are changing, or that maybe they're not changing right now, but a sense that they are about to, and just being okay with that. Also, a bit of feeling seen, a little bit more seen than usual, and I guess I would say it's been a lot more when it comes to this idea of change and focus on self and being seen, and thinking a little bit about what's next, but also with the trust that I think whatever comes next is going to be okay. I would say that all of that has been more of a thought than a feeling. So I wouldn't say that I've spent a lot of time connecting my feelings to this notion of change. And I wrote down that bit from Mary Poppins that Bert says that I love when he says, "Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing, about to begin. Can't put my finger on what lies in store, but I feel what's to happen has all happened before." And I don't necessarily feel like what's going to happen has happened before, but I do feel like something's brewing and something's about to begin. The winds of change, if you will. So I try to pull some cards on that just to see if, again, if the universe aligns with that message. And it does almost eerily so. So I will say one of the symbols that I've seen a lot has been birds. This first card is the Great Teacher. This is actually meant to look in this particular depiction like Jesus, but they note that there are great teachers in all spiritualities and all religions. He's just kind of one very well-known example. So the Great Teacher has shown up here to remind us to learn from our own experience. This idea that we have the knowledge that we need, and we've lived the experiences we've had for a reason, and they prepare us for whatever is coming next. And this card is also here to remind us that we possess a wisdom that we're not always even aware of. And I just want to read a little bit for each of these cards. So this card says, he's surrounded by a sense of serenity and harmony because he has absolute trust in the higher power that moves through him. The dove on the card represents receiving answers to prayers through signs and experiencing peace through joy. So again, this idea of feeling at peace with the sense of change that I wrote down is right here in this line. A sense of serenity and harmony, a trust in the power that moves through him. And then again, like some of these symbols that I've been seeing were birds and the dove on the card represents receiving answers to prayers through signs, which is just so poetic. This card is here to remind us that you are having spiritual experiences at this time and gaining a greater awareness of what you need to do in order to grow. There's a great chance that if you've been having challenges recently, you've surmounted them and allowed them to be vehicles to lessons that are helping your spiritual connection. If you feel that you have received messages recently, this card is confirmation that they have in fact been messages. So if that's resonating with you, you might be in the right place today. This second card from my Alice deck popped out right away. And this card is about being a person worth communicating with. So you might not be receiving communication from the people that you anticipate or from people that you even understand very well in the near future, but this card is here to say you're not being asked to make assumptions, you're being asked to be open and to be a person worthy of their reaching out and their communicating with you. So again, that focus on self here, I think is very important, but this idea of also then being open and being ready to receive whatever it is that's coming in for you. And last but not least, from the Muse deck, we have a card about strength. And not every card in the deck does this, but this one does, which I really like. So this card has to do with influence and courage, but also being innocent and honest and gentle in that moment of courage. Just gonna read, there's like dialogue in there for this card. And oh, what a curious sight we must be, she mused. This tiny thing, perched on his head, leading the way with her breath. But they don't know you like I do, he continued, in all the strength you carry. He could feel a wave of brave tranquility radiate from within her, all that flexible defiance, all that softness, and yet somehow, all the beasts, both wonderful and terrible, seemed to take great pleasure in bowing before her. They yield to her quiet strength and fall reverent to her peaceful demeanor, for the power in her breath is calmness embodied. She looked up at her small toes dangling down into the corners of his vision and tilted his head back to lick them. She giggled and leaned down. I think it said she looked up, but it says he looked up. He looked up, but every mistake is something, right? He looked up at her small toes. She giggled and leaned down to wrap her small arms around his neck and gently whispered, "It's true." What a curious light we must be. So this card is this reminder of fierce serenity. And just for fun, as I've started this video, I noticed that in fact, 2 cards came up from the Alice deck. And this one is, interestingly, almost the exact opposite of this idea of serenity, or the knowledge that you have everything that you need and that the messages are coming, that you're here to kind of receive, that you are being seen, that you're being seen by people that you might not expect, or that might be an odd match with you. But all you need to do is kind of continue that sense of serenity and continue to be somebody who's worth communicating with. This card is quite different, this hidden card. So this might be something that's coming up for us. This one says keeping up immense effort and advancing. So there may be a moment on the horizon, or you may feel like you need to do this, and maybe these are all cards reminding you that you don't, but because I saw it after, and because she's holding a clock, I think the timing is important here. I think once things start to move and change, this might be a reminder to us not to stay serene for long, not to rest in our laurels forever, to use that strength that we have to be ready, to keep up, and use that immense energy that we've been storing to advance ourselves in whatever the situation is that's about to be upon us. So I bring those cards in because they are the energy that's going to bring us through this reading, but they are also cards that let you know maybe you're in the right spot. If those are resonating with you, then this is the reading for you. So now I'm going to do just a quick 6-card spread from the tarot. I'm going to use 2 different decks. I'm only going to use the upright today, for both decks, in fact. Although I'll remember which ones did not fall out in the upright. There's a lot of cards. I'm just going to take the top one. And I am going to pull all of the cards before I dive into the reading and connect with the energies. This all feels very clear, actually. That's too many cards. I don't want all of you. It's flying out. I haven't even asked the question yet. In my head. There's a lot of messages out there. I might clarify some of these just to see if there's other stuff, because there seems to be a lot that wants to come through. This was headed right for it. Okay. Yeah. Very curious to see what this next card is going to be. Ooh, the deck's not sure about this one. Okay, me neither. 2. That's not enough. That doesn't answer the question. Hang on. I need to clarify it already for that card. One more, please. Oh. You know what? I'm gonna leave that one inverted. That one tried to come up before it too. Whew. Alright. Let's dive into this reading. Okay. So your first card, I think this card is meant to be you right now. Today, right here and now. I've somehow messed up my... Don't even know what I did. What did I do? Okay. I could be wrong, but I maybe there are some of you for whom this is not you, but I'm feeling like, close to 100%. This is you. So it's like, it's very strong. So for you, right now, in your situation, we have the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands is really approaching new ideas with curiosity, right? So just maybe looking for a bit of adventure, maybe kind of connecting with things that you're passionate about. But it's a little bit of an immature energy, honestly. So I don't know that you necessarily know what it is that's coming next for you, or what that idea is that's going to kind of help spur things forward. So I think just I would keep in mind with this card to kind of come back to that energy of being somebody who's worthy of communication, right? Being somebody who other people are going to want to connect with, communicate with, reach out to, whether that's in love, whether it's in business. I think just like be the person. But this card tells us that you're ready for that. And even on my notes in Napkin, when I connected with the 222 energy, it was this sense of feeling this understanding that things were going to change and being ready for it. For your action, this card talks about a choice. So you have the Two of Pentacles, which reminds you to be adaptive and to consider balance and to be resourceful, but again just speaks to a choice. And pentacles tend to refer to things that are worldly, so that again could be related to career, it could be related to just a new phase in life, because you have a lot of wands here which relate to passions and ideas. It could also be related to love, because something that catalyzes your action is the Knight of Cups. So the Knight of Cups tends to be a person. It tends to be a charming person who is sort of sensitive and romantic, more in touch with his feelings and emotions perhaps than you are, but this could be an offer of some kind. And I just want to remember that the Page of Wands did come out in the reverse. The Two of Pentacles did come out in the reverse. So those, again, I think are things that may just be coming into play. This might not be quite where you are just yet, but you're about to be. You might not know what that choice is yet, but I think you will. And I think this Knight of Cups is going to, again, be the catalyst for that. I do think that you're expecting somebody to come into the picture. So you may already know who this Knight of Cups is. And again, I don't even necessarily think, because you don't have a lot of cups in your reading, that's really just the one. So it doesn't even need to be a romantic situation or a person coming in romantically, although certainly because it's the Knight of Cups it could be. But I think it could be just somebody coming in with a really sweet offer. I have a sense that this relates more to your life circumstances or to your career. So maybe changing how you live or how you work or what your career is. It could be smaller than that too. You don't have a lot of major arcana until the end of your reading. So it could just be like a little shift and somebody comes in and gives you a choice. Then we have, in terms of your outcome, we have this really fruitful card of success and victory. We have the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands can also speak to recognition and pride, like a public recognition. And it's brought about, again, by the Eight of Wands, which Eight of Wands tends to be fast-moving. It's one of the only cards that doesn't have it might be it's the only card, I think, that doesn't have a person in it. And so when you see the Eight of Wands, it usually means something's coming in that's going to move fast, and it's going to require action. It's going to require movement. So I get the sense that if you were to read this like a story, and again, I'm trying to be vague because I want it to connect with as many people as possible, but it's not vague. It's very specific and very clear, so I'm just going to say it. That you right now maybe are connecting with your passions and thinking about what could be next for you, but you're not really sure what that is, right? This is kind of a naive, innocent energy. There is going to be at least one person who comes in and gives you an offer of something, and it's charming. It's a nice seeming offer, and then you've got a decision to make. And as soon as you make that decision, things are going to move quickly. And if I'm thinking back to those first few cards that we pulled for the energy of your entire reading, I'm thinking about that card underneath the card, right? I'm thinking about the Alice card that said, you better be ready for action. You better be able to keep up when the time is right, and that's this Eight of Wands. And if you're able to do that, it seems like you're going to get a lot of recognition. It might be public recognition, but things will in fact change, and you're going to feel a sense of victory in your choice if you are able to keep up. And I think it's worth noting, so this card for me in this configuration that I designed, honestly, this is a bit of advice for you for overall, and your advice for this entire reading is, I think, to be willing to accept death and rebirth. In some cases, and I kept this one in the reverse position because the Hanged Man is often about being willing to look at something from a different angle. And I think, again, in those initial cards that we pulled as an overview for your reading, I think we had a sense of that. So the Hanged Man is about being ready to look at something a little bit differently and being ready to take a leap. And that leap, the Hanged Man and Death and Rebirth go one after another, right? You've got, this is card 12, this is card 13, and that's not by accident. You might have to approach something a little bit differently or see something a little bit differently in order to get to that phase of rebirth. And you've also got the Knight of Swords in there, which can indicate a person. Again, the Knight of Swords is often fast-moving and refers to like action and bravery and determination. So I think the overall advice, and what I'm seeing even in the second half of this reading, is when you decide to make that choice, be willing to look at things a little bit differently. Be willing to let something go and allow yourself to be reborn in this new phase of your life, in this new version or approach to whatever it is that you're doing that this refers to. And remember that things might happen quickly. You might then have to take some fast action. Those go together. And if you do that, it's going to result in a feeling of victory for you and a feeling that like you did it. And maybe even some more public recognition. I don't feel the need to clarify all that much here, but let's just do, just for fun. Yeah, okay. Sorry, let me pause for a moment and pick that card up. I saw what it was coming. Okay, and here we are. So it sounds to me like if you are able to do all of those things, you've got this beautiful Four of Wands, which really just speaks to kind of celebration and harmony and like two minds, people coming together. And again, I didn't see this as particularly romantic, but it could be for some of you. It could be that you get this offer, and once you decide to make that move, it's going to be a big upheaval. And if that's the case, then this card could also indicate marriage. But I think, again, for more of you, because there weren't a lot of cups in the reading, this is about some life decisions, big or small. My gut says career oriented, but it could also have to do with where you live, or how you interact with others, or a friend group, or another family that you have that you're going to need to connect with, and they're going to come in, and your life's going to change as a result of your being willing to accept them in, and to let go of some things that maybe haven't been working for you recently, and instead look at things a little bit differently and take some quick action and move forward. And I really see that going very, very well for you. Last but not least, just a quick miracles card. I surrender my desires, and I know the universe has my back. I think that's it. That's a pretty clear message for me. That's your whole reading. Thank you for joining and watching. Again, if this resonated with you, please leave a message in the comments. Please like, subscribe, share with somebody who you think it could also be relevant for. It's not tied to any astrological sign, but if you've been seeing 222, if you've been seeing birds, if you've been seeing some symbols lately, and this happened to come across your feed, then I think this was meant for you, and I hope as you move forward in this story of yours that everything goes really well. Let me know how it goes.